Oh, hey dudes, and welcome to the Leftover Culture Review and a very special Christmas episode. Game Boy fans, I'm going to need you to hold on to your pride because this Christmas we are busting out the biggest, baddest handheld system ever released by Atari, the Atari Lynx. I've been saving up all year to afford the batteries as well as the system itself because this is a very special Atari Lynx. It's got a rebuilt power supply, a brand new LCD screen, and a copy of Batman Returns to cover for you guys this Christmas. One of my favorite Christmas games ever. Let's hit it! So this game was released all the way back in the middle of the year, June 1992, to coincide with the date of Batman Returns hitting the cinema. So in a lot of ways, this game was seen, by the development team at least, as a companion piece to the film. So in interviews, John Scrutch, the producer for Batman Returns for the Atari Lynx, actually said the film is going to help game fans get a deeper appreciation for the title, but the game is also going to help movie buffs just feel a bit more connected to the Batman universe. So those are some pretty bold claims. I know you guys are already super smart, so you probably know what Batman is, but for anyone who just needs a little bit of catching up, Batman was bitten by a radioactive bat and he got superpowers. He also loves lasagna, hates Mondays, and he's super horny for Catwoman. Also, in 1992, Batman was Michael Keaton. I can totally imagine if you took that movie, broke it down, backed by the incredible power of the Atari Lynx, you would get something like this. It's a really solid side-scrolling action game, but holy hell, it's hard. 4 levels of torture through the Batman film. You start out on the mean streets of Gotham, thrown into the action, everything wants to kill you. There's 2 schools of thought when it comes to Batman Returns for the Atari Lynx. Either you run and you do your best just to survive, or you can work out every attack pattern for each enemy and master the game like it's a compulsion. Personally, I got to about level 2 before I started using cheats, and before you get worried, yes, I did ask permission. I said, "Mum, this game is so brutal, can I please use some cheats?" And she sat me down. She's like, "Bruiser, please just finish brushing your teeth. It's been 3 days, your breath stinks, but also stop telling me about the Atari Lynx. It's stupid." And I kind of took that as an endorsement to prove to her that the Atari Lynx isn't stupid. It's like the best handheld that Atari ever made, one of the most powerful. And as a pack-in title, this was the game that was going to prove it. There is no Batman Returns for the Game Boy because Nintendo probably got scared about competing with something so powerful. Actually, it's a little bit of a lie. We did get a really awesome Batman Returns game by Konami for the Super Nintendo. We're not going to get into that now. We've got plenty to cover here for a 256 kilobyte cartridge. So here we are. Putting in the cheats is an absolute pain in the butt. You're just pressing left, 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 right, 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 down, 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 up, 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 option A. So many bloody times. It's ridiculous. The first thing you are bound to notice are the awesome graphics. Batman is huge and he's imposing, and you feel the weight of every step in your hand. Mostly because the Atari Lynx is so damn heavy. In level 1, we hit the streets of Gotham going up against the Red Triangle Circus that we see from the start of the movie. So right in that first level, we get plenty of enemies to deal with. There are thugs that just want to hit you, clowns that roll bowling ball bombs, organ grinders, ladies wearing headdresses. What I love about this adventure title is that there are some big moments that are going to catch you by surprise the first time you play through. There's a bunch of motorbikes that burst out of a present box.
No idea how they fit that many in there, and as far as Christmas themes in this game are going to go, that's all we're really going to get. But in that first level, there's also an exploding bank that forces you to hide or lose half a life bar right there in the first level. And you only get one life bar. As soon as you die, it's back to the start. If you can survive the level, you take on the Penguin, riding in his duck vehicle. Super iconic, it's a great way to get around, but it's not exactly a high-powered fighting machine, so keep out of the way, throw some batarangs if you got them, or just do the classic jump and punch. And if you haven't yet, this first boss fight is a good chance to explore the weapons that Batman has. Firstly, his fists, which are weapons in their own right. And then secondly, Batman carries around a bunch of exploding test tubes, I guess. These explode on impact, or probably if you sit down too hard on them, and they act like bombs that you can lob over the top, taking out multiple enemies at once. And lastly, he's got these wannabe boomerangs. They're solid throwing weapons that I always run out of way too quickly because I use them as a bit of a crutch from the second level onward just to try and keep my head above the water long enough to feel like I stand a chance fighting it out in Batman's world, even when I'm using cheats. Once level 2 rolls around on the rooftops, I recommend you get permission from your mum to use cheats too. Each stage brings a few different enemies to deal with, and this time around we have police with guns and shotgun cops. The pistols aren't so hard to deal with, they'll slowly drain your health, but the shotgun cops, far out. They're going to stop you dead in your tracks. One mistimed jump, or sometimes they'll just pop out of nowhere and shoot you down, and you've got nowhere to go but down. And as I said, no checkpoints, no continues, you go straight back to level 1. If this stage didn't feel quite so unfair, I'm pretty sure there's a few more people that might have actually seen the end of this game.
So a few tips that I can give you guys is to duck a lot. You'll be spending a lot of time just crouched down, not getting hit by anything, waiting for your chance to strike. Also, play the game with the sound on. I often just play games with the sound off. And I realized for Batman Returns, you actually need to hear when the motorbikes are coming, when those cops are shooting those shotguns.
For the second boss, we take on Catwoman in all the grace and elegance the Atari Lynx can pump out. And the people working on this game, they knew their stuff. The visual team was headed by Susan McBride, who at this point already worked on some of my favourite Lynx games like Rampage and Clax. Catwoman moves all over the screen and she has heaps of range, so just try and keep moving. Again, throw some batarangs and some test tubes if you got them, and just good bloody luck. Talking about trying to keep your head above water, for level 3 you head into the sewers beneath Gotham City, closing in on the Penguin for the final showdown. And dudes, from this point out, you're going to be punching just a lot of penguins. There's 2 different types of penguins in this level, and a few familiar faces from the Red Triangle Circus gang, as well as plenty of toxic waste. At least there's no platforms to fall off, and there's no end boss this time either. Unless you count a penguin ambush as an end boss, they're going to start dropping down from ladders, crawling out of pipes, ready to blast you away, but at least by the end of this level, you'll be a professional penguin puncher. Level 4 is called Batman Discovers the Arctic World, which, pretty dramatic, right? Basically, it's the Penguin's lair, and it's pretty short for a level compared to the rest of them. But hey, listen to this. I actually did some research. So, quoting the producer John Scrutch from an interview in Atari Explorer from May-June 1992, the end of the game is a real tour de force of classic animation, and it is truly worth the effort players will expend in trying to reach it. So, here we are. The game's going to throw more penguins at you, a new type of platform that drops out from under you, with a few more chances to mistime your jumps and get sent straight back to the start. But if you can make it to the end, as indicated by that duck vehicle, you are going to come up face to face with the Penguin again. but this time, Max Schreck is caged in the background, slowly being lowered. I'm going to spoil this game. It's over 30 years old, so if you want to work it out on your own, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell all your friends, all your family to watch it before you turn it off. But the ending is actually pretty cool. Obviously, the Penguin is a vicious villain, but he's not exactly a fit, muscly opponent in a fair fight. So he's going to slide around the stage and shoot you with his umbrella. But when things get too tough, he's going to jump over the side and hide out. And now is your chance to destroy that machine that is slowly dropping Max Schreck down into the water. Once it's smoking, you'll be able to finally defeat the Penguin, presumably save Max Schreck, and get a very blunt congrats screen along with an arbitrary 100,000 points. So, well done! You've finished Batman Returns!
So that blunt ending really got me thinking, like, why? Why would you do that in a game with so much care and love and effort put into the animations to make it feel more cinematic? Why would you just end it on a text screen? And that interview with John Scrutch kind of got me thinking, there's a bit of a clue in here. This game was produced at the same time the movie started filming. They weren't dealing with a whole lot of reference material. They didn't know what the movie would really be about. They got some hints, they got some clues, but all the photos, the visuals, the stills, that had to be signed off by all the actors in it before they actually got to receive them. So they were dealing with bits being cut out of the script. They were dealing with a long approval process for that reference material. It would have been a pain in the butt to try and make a game about a movie and keep it accurate and make it feel like it really is a companion to the movie without having all the information from the start. So I feel like maybe the ending is just blunt because they're not trying to give away too much about what happens after the Penguin is defeated. Spoiler alert, the Penguin does die in the movie and in the video game. They're not trying to give away too much. They want it to feel like a classy, not ambiguous ending. You beat the Penguin, it's over. If you want to get more story, you kind of have to see the movie.
Of destruction in the Batman Returns handheld game from Tiger.
What do you want?
To destroy the Penguin's evil army.
So, talking about some of the other Batman games, and you know there were going to be a whole bunch because it was a pretty big movie at the time. So we got the Tiger handheld stuff, we got games on DOS, we got an NES game, but I kind of wanted to focus on some of the ones that kind of stood out to me, which were the Sega Mega Drive or the Sega CD titles. Both of those came out kind of at the same time. The Sega CD version actually used a bit more of that hardware to show off, so we've got some really, I want to say incredible, not that incredible. We have some driving sequences. The Super Nintendo did that as well, but the Sega CD just did it kind of worse. But we did get Batman Returns for the Mega Drive, and we also got Batman Returns for the Super Nintendo. So I'm just going to highlight those two games for this review, but if you are interested in Batman Returns, there is plenty of material out there. Let me know in the comments how wrong I am for not covering anything else. You get to swing around like Spider-Man, which I guess is kind of cool, and there's more stages, like an actual circus, I think, in a shopping mall. Don't remember that from the movie. Checking it out, all of it just feels kind of weird. Like you're fighting gargoyles and statues that come to life. When you defeat enemies, they kind of like zap out. And there's an Indiana ball rolling sequence where you need to slide down escalators to try and outrun it. There's a runaway train with a clown boss. There's just some things in this game that don't quite check out. And I imagine they had some similar challenges as the Atari Lynx team. But these guys were just kind of like, screw it. We're going to make Gotham City with a bunch of crazy clowns. It's a video game, so we're going to just chuck in a sewer section. And Batman probably loves sliding, so we'll add some of those to break up the whole move to the right action platformer thing. Overall, it doesn't feel super consistent, but I will say I really love the ending sequence when you defeat the Penguin. It just looks absolutely sick. And it's also worth mentioning Konami. They took a crack too for Batman Returns on the Super Nintendo, and I like this one a lot. It's got a bit more Christmas, but it's dark and broody, and it also feels just really intentional. It came out in 1993, so they had a chance to watch the movie, and instead of doing a straight scene-for-scene recap like they did for the Atari Lynx, there's just a bit more creative interpretation to make it fit the mold of a side-scrolling beat-em-up. Like, of course, there is an obligatory elevator platform sequence, but then they still kept some really great scenes to tie it back into the movie, like the Ice Princess falling from that ledge, or the penguins appearing at the end strapped to rockets. Though here, you're not going to get to fight any of them. So it's a bit of a shame the story gets told in the Super Nintendo version through some very small still frames that were clipped from the movie, because I just don't think they do this game justice.
So there you have it, guys. Batman Returns for the Atari Lynx. You can do a hell of a lot worse than having an Atari Lynx under your Christmas tree this year with a copy of Batman Returns. And out of all the different movie adaptations of this game, I think the Atari Lynx one is my favorite. It doesn't try and overextend itself or interpret the film too much or tell too much of the plot. You watch the film, you'll know what's happening here, and it is a really great game that manages to hit all the beats, even though it's challenging as hell. But if you guys can master it or get permission to use cheats like I did, you can actually knock this game over in about 15 minutes to half an hour, which gives you a hell of a lot of juice left in your Atari Lynx to play some other amazing games and keep you entertained this holiday season when you are stuck at those different Christmas parties. Some of my favorite recommendations would have to be like Rampage, Clax, Battle Wheels. There's definitely a handful of good Atari Lynx games out there, so check it out if you got the chance. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your Christmas right here with me on the Leftover Culture Review. I really do appreciate it. Stay safe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Cheers.